The massive wooden doors of the city courthouse swung open. Bright morning light flooded in, illuminating the marble columns and the American flag hanging overhead. Nia paused in the doorway, 17 years old, dark brown skin, natural hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her clothes were clean but worn, a faded blue jacket with a small tear on the sleeve, jeans with frayed edges, scuffed white sneakers. She clutched a canvas backpack, patched with duct tape, close to her chest. The courthouse lobby was crowded, marble floors reflecting fluorescent lights, wooden benches filled with people, security guards at metal detectors, lawyers in expensive suits checking phones. Nia placed her backpack on the security conveyor belt and walked through the metal detector. As she retrieved her bag, her eyes scanned the lobby, searching. Leaning against a marble column near the security checkpoint stood Marcus Thornton Jr., 22 years old, athletic build, designer navy suit perfectly tailored, gold Rolex gleaming on his wrist, diamond stud earring catching the light. He scrolled through his iPhone, completely confident in his domain. Two equally well-dressed friends flanked him, laughing at something on his screen. Marcus Jr.'s eyes drifted upward and froze on Nia. His gaze traveled from her scuffed shoes to her worn backpack. His lip curled into a smirk. Yo, check this out, Marcus Jr. said loud enough for others to hear. Did charity services start giving out courthouse tours now? His friends burst into laughter. Several people in the lobby turned to look. Marcus Jr. straightened up, stepping toward Nia. Nah, seriously though, you sure you're in the right building? Food banks 2 blocks down. Goodwill's across the street. More people were watching now. Some pulled out phones, recording. Nia stopped walking. She turned slowly to face Marcus Jr., her expression calm but with fire burning behind her eyes. I'm exactly where I need to be, she said, her voice steady and clear. Marcus Jr.'s smirk widened. He walked toward her, hands in pockets, radiating arrogance. Oh, she talks. What are you here for, sweetheart? Shoplifting? Trespassing? Let me guess, couldn't afford the bus fare and they finally caught you. The crowd was fully engaged now. Phones everywhere, recording from multiple angles. I'm here for a hearing, Nia said. Marcus Jr. threw his head back, laughing. A hearing? Oh, this is rich. What kind of hearing? You fighting a parking ticket? Oh wait, you don't have a car, do you? He began circling her like a predator. You know what? I'm in a good mood today. My father, Chief Thornton? Yeah, runs every cop in the city. He always taught me to help people less fortunate. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you some free advice. He stopped directly in front of her, looking down at her. Whatever you did to end up here, plead guilty. Take the deal. Do your time. Because fighting the system when you look like this. He gestured at her entire appearance dismissively. You're just gonna make it worse for yourself. The system isn't designed for people like you to win. It's designed for people like me to stay on top. That's just reality, sweetheart. A court officer stepped forward. Miss, is this man bothering you? Do you need assistance finding where you need to go? Marcus Jr. turned to the officer with charm. No, Officer Davis, we're good here. I was just trying to help her out. You know how confused people can get in these big government buildings. Officer Davis nodded, familiar with Marcus Jr. All right, Marcus. Your father coming by today. Later. He's got a press conference about the new initiative. The two men shared a knowing smile, the casual exchange of power and privilege, right in front of Nia. Officer Davis turned back to Nia, more stern. Miss, you need to move along. You're causing a disruption. Nia's eyes widened. I'm causing the disruption? I'm not causing anything. I'm just standing here, she said firmly. Marcus Jr. grinned wider. See? Attitude. That's your problem right there. That's why people like you always end up in trouble. No respect for authority. Let this be a lesson, everybody. This is what happens when you don't teach your kids. Nia cut him off, her voice ringing through the lobby. When you don't teach your kids what, exactly? To bow down to entitled bullies who think their daddy's badge makes them untouchable. The lobby went silent. Marcus Jr.'s smile froze on his face. Several people gasped. His face transformed. The charming mask dropped, replaced by cold anger. "What did you just say to me?" He stepped closer, invading her personal space. "No. I want to hear her say it again. Because I don't think she understands who she's talking to." Nia didn't back down. She adjusted her backpack, stood straighter, looked him directly in the eyes. "I understand perfectly. You're Marcus Thornton Jr. Your father is the police chief. You've spent your entire life using his name to get whatever you want, treat people however you want, and face zero consequences. Did I miss anything?" The crowd was riveted. Phones captured every word. Marcus Jr. pulled out his phone and dialed. "David. Yeah, I'm at the courthouse. There's a situation you need to know about. Some girl is here causing a disturbance, threatening me, being aggressive. Can you send a couple units?" "Yeah, I think she might be dangerous." "Thanks, Dad." He ended the call and slipped his phone back into his pocket, crossing his arms. "Officers will be here in about 3 minutes. They're gonna arrest you for harassment, threatening behavior, and whatever else I decide to tell them. And when I tell them what happened, they'll believe me, because my father is their boss. And you? You're nobody." For the first time, a flicker of fear crossed Nia's features. Officer Davis approached. "Miss, I'm going to need you to come with me until the officers arrive. You're being detained." "Detained for what? I haven't done anything." Nia protested. Marcus Jr. smiled cruelly. "That's not what these 50 people with cameras just saw. They saw you threaten me. They saw you act aggressive. They saw exactly what I needed them to see." Sirens grew louder outside. Red and blue lights flashed through the courthouse windows. 2 police cars pulled up. Nia's hand slowly moved to her backpack, unzipping it carefully. Little Nia, 7 years old, was being spun around by a tall, elegant black woman in her 40s, Judge Sarah Mitchell. They were in a modest but clean living room, afternoon sunlight streaming through sheer curtains. The walls had family photos and bookshelves overflowing with law books. "Mommy, why do you have to go to work so much?" young Nia asked. Sarah smoothed her daughter's hair. "Because there are people who need help, baby. People who have no one else to speak for them. And if I don't do it, who will?" Judge Sarah Mitchell hadn't been born into privilege. Raised by a single mother who cleaned houses, Sarah had worked from age 14, fast food, retail, cleaning offices at night. She put herself through community college while working 2 jobs, then state university, then law school at night while working as a paralegal. She passed the bar on her 3rd try. She spent 15 years as a public defender, fighting for people who couldn't afford lawyers. She won impossible cases. She exposed corrupt cops. She challenged illegal searches. When she was appointed as a judge at 42, the first black woman on that bench in her county, she vowed to use her power differently. Nia was 12 when her mother got the diagnosis. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 12 months, maybe 18. Sarah Mitchell, who had fought every battle, was facing the one fight she couldn't win. But Sarah wasn't thinking about herself. She was thinking about Nia. What would happen to her daughter? They had no family. Child Services would place Nia in foster care. Sarah had seen too many cases. She couldn't let that happen. So Judge Sarah Mitchell built a case for her daughter's future. Over 4 months, while undergoing chemotherapy, Sarah liquidated everything. The house she'd saved 20 years to buy, sold. Sold. Every piece of jewelry, including her mother's wedding ring, sold. She took every penny, $2.3 million, and placed it into an irrevocable trust with Nia as sole beneficiary. The trust couldn't be touched until Nia turned 17. It couldn't be seized by creditors or claimed by the state. She met with James Wilson, an older black attorney, in his small office. "Sarah, this is extraordinary," Wilson said, concerned. "But this leaves you with almost nothing for treatment." Sarah's voice was weak but certain. "I'm not going to make it, James. We both know that. But Nia will survive me. And when she does, I need to know she's protected. I need to know she has something to fight with. You're giving her a sword. I'm giving her an arsenal." But Sarah didn't just protect Nia financially. She protected her legally, strategically. She created video recordings explaining her wishes. She documented every decision. She appointed Wilson as trustee. And then she did something else. 3 years before her diagnosis, Sarah had noticed a pattern in her courtroom. Too many cases from the same police district. Too many arrests with identical evidence. Too many defendants claiming they'd been framed. She started investigating quietly. And she discovered something massive. Police Chief Marcus Thornton was running a systematic corruption scheme. Planting evidence. Falsifying reports. Destroying exculpatory evidence. Sarah was smart. She knew powerful men like Thornton had protection. So she built a case silently, methodically, perfectly. And she kept it secret, waiting. When she got her diagnosis, Sarah knew she'd found the moment. Nia's moment. On a park bench, Sarah held 13-year-old Nia's hands. "There's going to come a time when things are very hard," Sarah said. "You're going to feel alone. People are going to judge you. They're going to look at your clothes, where you live, and they're going to make assumptions about who you are. Let them. Let them underestimate you. That's when you'll be most powerful. I've made sure you're going to be okay. I've built something for you that no one can take away. But you have to be brave. You have to remember everything I've taught you about the law, about justice, about standing up for yourself." Judge Sarah Mitchell passed away 4 months later. She was 46. Nia was 13, placed in foster care with the Johnsons, kind people, but struggling financially. Nia's clothes came from thrift stores. Her backpack was donated. She was mocked at school, ignored by teachers who saw just another poor kid. But Nia remembered. She studied harder than anyone. She waited. When she turned 17, 3 months ago, James Wilson knocked on her door. He opened a briefcase, pulling out folders, laying them on a table. Nia's eyes widened. Wilson showed her the truth. Not just about the money, about something else. About corruption. About police officers abusing power. About evidence being destroyed, arrests being falsified, people being framed. And at the center, Police Chief Marcus Thornton. Sarah Mitchell had built a case. Not just for her daughter's future, but against the corruption that had destroyed countless lives. A case sealed until Nia was old enough to decide what to do with it. 2 uniformed police officers entered the courthouse, Officer Kane and Officer Rivera. They spotted Marcus Jr. and headed toward him. "Marcus, your dad said there was a situation?" Kane said. Marcus Jr. pointed at Nia. "Yeah, this girl. She's been harassing me, making threats. I've got like 50 witnesses who recorded the whole thing." Rivera approached Nia. "Miss, I'm going to need you to turn around and place your hands behind your back." Nia took a deep breath. "Under what specific charge, officer?" "Harassment, disturbing the peace, and threatening behavior." "I'd like to see the evidence of these charges. I'd like to know who filed the complaint. I'd like to know if I'm being arrested or detained, and if detained, under what legal authority." Rivera's eyebrows rose. She wasn't expecting legal language from a teenager in thrift store clothes. Marcus Jr. laughed. "Oh, she knows big words. Did you Google that on your Obama phone?" "Miss, don't make this harder," Kane said. "Just cooperate, and we'll sort it out at the station." "I'm not resisting. I'm asking legally protected questions that any citizen has the right to ask. Are you refusing to answer them, Officer Kane?" Kane and Rivera exchanged glances. Something about this girl didn't add up. Nia reached slowly into her backpack. "Before you arrest me, I think you should know that I'm here for a hearing in Courtroom 3B. Judge Patricia Hanson's courtroom. The hearing starts in 15 minutes." She pulled out an official court summons. Rivera took it, reading. "Estate matter. Irrevocable trust review. Mitchell Trust." Her eyes widened. Marcus Jr. snatched the paper. "Mitchell? As in Judge Sarah Mitchell?" he said, confused. "My mother," Nia said quietly. The lobby went silent. Multiple people gasped. "Bullshit. Judge Mitchell died like 4 years ago. She didn't have any family except some foster kid." "That would be me. I'm the foster kid. I'm also her daughter. Her biological daughter. Her only heir. and I'm here for the review hearing on the trust she established before she passed. Kane pulled out his radio. Dispatch, can you confirm the docket for Courtroom 3B, Judge Hanson? Yeah, Kane, I've got that docket. Estate Review Hearing, Mitchell Trust, 10 a.m. Petitioner is Nia Sarah Mitchell, age 17. Judge Hanson's clerk called it a priority hearing. Kane's face shifted. Rivera looked impressed. Miss Mitchell, we're going to need to sort out this complaint from Mr. Thornton, Kane began. Nia cut in. Of course, I'd be happy to address any legitimate complaint. However, I'm going to request that any statements, from me or from Mr. Thornton, be given under oath, with a court recorder present, since this involves potential false charges that could constitute defamation and harassment on his part. Stunned silence. A voice from the crowd called out. I recorded the whole thing. She didn't threaten him, he was harassing her. A young black man stepped forward, holding up his phone. I got it all right here. He approached her. He made fun of her clothes, said she belonged at a food bank. She just asked him to leave her alone. Then he called his daddy to get her arrested. Multiple other people nodded, holding up their phones. Yeah, I got it too. He was totally bullying her, a teenage girl said. An older woman spoke up. That young man should be ashamed of himself, picking on a child like that. Applause broke out. Marcus Jr. looked around, shocked, losing control of the narrative. Kane turned to Marcus Jr., lowering his voice. Look, Marcus, maybe we should just let this go. She's got a hearing, your dad wouldn't want complications with a judge's family. Marcus Jr. grabbed Kane's arm. Don't tell me what my father would want. Arrest her. Now. Kane pulled his arm free, uncomfortable. Rivera said firmly, we can't arrest someone for having a hearing to attend, Marcus. Marcus Jr.'s voice rose. I don't want to file through channels. I want you to arrest her. Right now. Nia reached into her backpack again, pulling out a tablet. She turned it on and navigated to a video file. Officer Kane, Officer Rivera, before you make any decisions, there's something I think you should see. She turned the screen toward them. They watched, confusion turning to shock turning to horror. Where did you get this? Kane whispered. My mother compiled extensive documentation on police misconduct before she passed away. She was a judge. She saw things. She documented things. This particular video is from 3 years ago. It shows Officers Kane and Rivera receiving explicit instructions from Chief Thornton on how to falsify evidence in a drug possession case. The charges were later used to justify a no-knock raid that resulted in the death of an innocent man. Color drained from both officers' faces. We were just following orders. We didn't know, Kane stammered. I'm not interested in prosecuting officers who were following orders. I'm interested in the person giving those orders. My mother was interested in the same thing. That's why she spent the last months of her life building a case that could actually stick. She looked directly at Marcus Jr., and now I have all three. Ironclad evidence, testimony from people on the inside, and leverage. Marcus Jr.'s phone buzzed. He read something and his face went sheet white. No. No, 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 he whispered, staring at his screen. He read aloud, voice breaking. Emergency meeting with Internal Affairs. Suspended pending investigation. Come to my office immediately. Do not speak to anyone. He looked up at Nia. What did you do? Nia checked her phone calmly. I didn't send Internal Affairs anything. My mother's attorney did. About 45 minutes ago. Right about the time you were calling me a charity case, Mr. Wilson was walking into the district attorney's office with 12 years of documented evidence against your father. The lobby erupted. You're lying. Marcus Jr. stepped toward her aggressively. My father is untouchable. Everyone in this city knows that. Does Judge Patricia Hanson owe your father? Nia asked calmly. Because she's the one overseeing my trust hearing. And she's the one my mother specifically requested before she died. Judge Hanson, who your father tried to force into retirement 3 years ago when she ruled against one of his officers. Judge Hanson, who has been waiting for an opportunity to hold your father accountable. The elevator dinged. An elderly black man emerged. James Wilson, 73, dignified in an expensive suit, walking with a polished cane. Behind him was a younger woman carrying boxes of files. Nia. Right on time, just like your mother, Wilson said warmly. Nia rushed to him, and he embraced her. She would be so proud of you right now. So very proud. He addressed the room. I am James Wilson, attorney and trustee for the estate of the late Judge Sarah Mitchell. I'm here to accompany my client, Miss Nia Mitchell, to her trust review hearing. He turned to the officers. Officers, if there are any formal charges against my client, I'll need to see the documentation. Otherwise, we have a hearing to attend. No charges, sir, Kane said quickly. This was a misunderstanding. Marcus Jr. turned to Wilson desperately. You think you're going to bring down my father with some dusty files from a dead judge? Wilson studied him coolly. Young man, I don't think anything. I know that your father has violated 18 separate federal statutes. I know he has falsified evidence in at least 47 cases. I know he has perjured himself 12 times. I know because Judge Mitchell documented every single instance with meticulous precision. And I know that as of 9:15 this morning, the U.S. Attorney's Office officially opened a federal investigation. Federal? You went to the feds? We had no choice. Local prosecutors have been compromised by your father's influence. But federal prosecutors don't care about local politics. They care about evidence. And we have mountains of it. The younger woman stepped forward. I'm attorney Michelle Roberts. I've spent the past 6 months working with the U.S. Attorney's Office as a cooperating witness. Judge Mitchell's documentation corroborates everything I reported. Marcus Jr. looked like he might collapse. From a side hallway, a woman in judicial robes approached. Judge Patricia Hanson, late 50s, natural gray hair, penetrating eyes. Mr. Wilson. Miss Mitchell. We're ready for you in courtroom 3B. Her commanding voice quieted the lobby. This is still a courthouse, not a circus. Everyone who doesn't have business in a courtroom needs to clear this lobby immediately. Marcus Jr. stepped toward her. Your Honor, I don't know what lies they've been telling you about my father. Judge Hanson's voice was ice. Mr. Thornton Jr., I suggest you find yourself an attorney. A very good attorney. Because if even a fraction of what I've been briefed on is true, you and your father are going to need every bit of legal help you can afford. She turned to Nia, her expression softening completely. Miss Mitchell, I had the distinct honor of knowing your mother. She was one of the most extraordinary jurists I've ever worked with. She spoke of you constantly, with such love, such pride. Shall we proceed with your hearing? Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Nia said, tears in her eyes. Wilson offered Nia his arm. As they walked toward the courtroom, the crowd parted, many offering quiet words of support. As Nia passed Marcus Jr., she paused and turned to face him. You asked me earlier if I knew who you were. I did. I've known exactly who you were since I was 13 years old, when my dying mother showed me the files she'd been building. Files that included information about you too, Marcus. The DUI your father covered up when you were 18. The assault charges that disappeared when you were 20. The cocaine possession when you were 21 that somehow never made it into any record. People in the crowd recorded, reactions of shock spreading. I knew who you were. Every terrible thing you've done, every person you've hurt, every consequence your father made disappear. The question is, did you ever think, even for 1 second, that the charity case standing in front of you might be someone worth your respect? Someone with more power than you'll ever have? Complete silence. Marcus Jr. had no response. I didn't think so. Goodbye, Marcus. I hope you learned something from this. But honestly, I doubt it. She turned and walked into the courtroom. Wilson and Roberts followed. Judge Hanson held the door, gave Marcus Jr. one last withering look, then entered. The heavy wooden door closed with a definitive boom. Marcus Jr. stood alone, surrounded by strangers with phones recording his humiliation. His friends had abandoned him. The officers had moved away. He was utterly alone. Inside the courtroom, Judge Hanson took her seat at the bench. Nia and Wilson sat at a table facing her. Sunlight streamed through tall windows. "This is a review hearing for the irrevocable trust established by Judge Sarah Mitchell for her daughter, Miss Nia Mitchell," Judge Hanson said officially. "Mr. Wilson, please proceed." Wilson stood. "Thank you, Your Honor. The trust contains assets totaling $2,347,892.17. Nia's eyes widened. She'd had no idea it was that much. How did Judge Mitchell accumulate such substantial assets? Hanson asked. Judge Mitchell was extraordinarily disciplined financially. She lived modestly, invested wisely. Over her 22-year career, she systematically built considerable savings. When she received her terminal diagnosis, she liquidated all assets and placed everything into this trust to ensure her daughter's future. I see the trust specifies conditions. Has Miss Mitchell satisfied them? Yes, Your Honor. Nia stood, pulling documents from her backpack. Transcripts, certificates, a typed proposal. Your Honor, I'm on track to graduate with a 3.8 GPA in 6 months. I completed a financial literacy course last November. And I've prepared a plan, half the funds for college tuition, 1/4 for investments, and the final quarter to establish the Sarah Mitchell Legal Justice Foundation, a non-profit legal aid organization to help people who can't afford representation. Judge Hanson's eyebrows rose. A legal aid foundation? At 17? Yes, Your Honor. My mother spent her career fighting for people the system had forgotten. I want to continue that work. I want her legacy to help the people she would have helped if she'd lived. Judge Hanson sat forward, emotion showing. Miss Mitchell, your mother would be extraordinarily proud. Not just for your plan, but for who you've become. She picked up her gavel. The court finds that all conditions have been satisfied. Mr. Wilson, you are authorized to begin distributions. Miss Mitchell, you now have full legal access to your inheritance. The gavel came down with a solid crack. Nia's knees nearly buckled. Wilson steadied her. Both had tears streaming down their faces. When Nia emerged from the courtroom, the lobby was still crowded. All eyes turned to her. Her posture was different now, head high, shoulders back, eyes confident. Scattered applause began, growing louder. People cheered. Marcus Jr. was still there, slumped on a bench. When he saw Nia, he stood. "You think you've won something?" he said hoarsely. "My father has protected this city for 30 years. What has your mother done except die and leave you with some blood money?" The crowd gasped. Nia walked slowly toward him, completely calm. "My mother saved 17 lives. 17 innocent people your father was going to send to prison on false charges. My mother documented each case, provided evidence anonymously, and every single one was exonerated. 3 had been sentenced to death. She also identified 11 officers in your father's department who were targeting poor neighborhoods, planting evidence. And now federal investigators are reviewing every arrest those officers made. Hundreds of wrongful convictions might be overturned. So to answer your question, my mother did more for real justice than your father has done in his entire career. And she did it while dying of cancer." The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. "Goodbye, Marcus. I genuinely hope you become a better person. But that's on you now." She walked toward the exit. The crowd parted, many reaching out to shake her hand. As they pushed through the doors into bright sunlight, they were immediately swarmed by television crews and reporters. "Miss Mitchell, is it true your mother documented police corruption? How does it feel to inherit over $2 million? Marcus Thornton Jr. was seen harassing you. Will you press charges?" Wilson stepped forward protectively. "Miss Mitchell will release a statement later today. For now, she asks for privacy." "Thank you." He began guiding Nia toward a waiting car. But she stopped, turned back to face the cameras. "My mother taught me that justice isn't about revenge. It's about truth. It's about making sure that power doesn't protect the powerful from facing consequences. Everything happening today isn't about me. It's about the hundreds of people whose lives were destroyed by corruption. It's about making sure no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. That was my mother's legacy, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life honoring it." Cameras flashed. Nia got into the car with Wilson, and they drove away. News coverage exploded. Breaking news. Police Chief Marcus Thornton suspended pending federal investigation into allegations of corruption spanning more than a decade. The investigation was triggered by evidence compiled by the late Judge Sarah Mitchell. Perhaps most stunning is the story of 17-year-old Nia Mitchell, who inherited not just her mother's estate, but her mission. Social media has erupted with support, with hashtags #Justice for Judge Mitchell trending worldwide. In less than 12 hours, Marcus Thornton Jr. went from the most privileged person in the city to a national symbol of entitled cruelty. His social media was deleted after thousands of hate messages. Companies rescinded job offers. Friends stopped calling. Even his father told him to stay out of sight. Former Police Chief Thornton was arraigned on 17 federal charges. If convicted, he faced up to 45 years in prison. The FBI called it one of the largest police corruption cases in state history. A renovated storefront in a working-class neighborhood had fresh paint and a new sign, Mitchell Legal Justice Center, free legal aid for all. Inside, the center bustled with activity. Nia sat at her desk, transformed, professional clothes that fit, new glasses, hair styled neatly. She reviewed documents, completely focused. James Wilson entered carrying coffee and a newspaper. "Morning, Nia. You're here early again." "Can't help it. We've got 3 intake appointments today. Mrs. Chen's case goes to hearing tomorrow, and I'm still studying for finals." Wilson slid the newspaper over. "You made the front page again." The headline read, "Mitchell Center Celebrates 75th Victory." The photo showed Nia with a man and his family, all smiling with joy. 75 people, Nia said, voice breaking. "In 6 months, we've helped overturn 75 wrongful convictions." "She would be exactly as proud as I am," Wilson said gently. The Mitchell Legal Justice Center became the most successful legal aid organization in state history. Nia hired 5 full-time attorneys, partnered with law schools for volunteers, created a hotline for reporting misconduct. The pressure from her work led to police reform legislation, mandatory body cameras, independent oversight, mandatory reporting of force, restrictions on no-knock warrants. Nia testified before the state legislature 4 times. At 18, she became one of the most influential voices in criminal justice reform. She graduated valedictorian with a 4.0 GPA. Accepted to 12 law schools, she chose Howard University and deferred a year to keep the center running. The money? She kept what she needed for school, about $400,000. The rest, nearly $2 million, she donated to bail funds, legal aid organizations, community centers, scholarships for children of incarcerated parents. One late afternoon, Nia was locking up the Justice Center when footsteps approached. She turned to see Marcus Jr. He was transformed. Thinner, wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt, no designer clothes, no jewelry. He looked older, humbler. "Nia, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to apologize." Nia studied him carefully. "What happened to you?" "Everything and nothing. My father's in federal prison, 28 years. I'm working 2 jobs, grocery store and pizza delivery. Living in a tiny apartment with 2 roommates. But honestly, I deserved it. I spent 22 years thinking I was better than everyone because of who my father was. Turns out he was a criminal, and I was just his arrogant son. Now I know what it feels like to be judged, dismissed, treated like garbage. And it's horrible. And I did that to you and countless others. I'm so sorry." He took a breath. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know you changed my life. Not by destroying me, by showing me who I really was. And I'm trying every day to be better." Nia stood quietly, then stepped forward and extended her hand. "Good luck, Marcus. I mean that." He took her hand, shook it gratefully, then walked away. A grand courthouse held a formal ceremony. A banner read, "First Annual Judge Sarah Mitchell Memorial Award for Excellence in Public Service." The governor stood at a podium addressing a packed courtroom. "It is my profound honor to present this award to someone who has exemplified everything Judge Mitchell stood for." At just 18 years old, She has changed more lives than most of us will in entire careers. Nia Mitchell, please join me. The room rose in thunderous applause. Nia walked to the stage, emotional. The governor presented her with a plaque. When given the podium, Nia took a breath. Thank you. But this award isn't mine. It belongs to my mother. A large photo of Judge Sarah Mitchell appeared on screen behind her. My mother died when I was 13. For 4 years, I was alone. I was poor. I was judged. People looked at my clothes and decided I was nobody. But my mother taught me that your worth isn't determined by what you have. It's determined by what you do. Whether you stand up when it's hard. Whether you speak truth when it's dangerous. There was a day when I walked into a courthouse and someone treated me like I was nothing. He mocked me. He tried to have me arrested. I was terrified because he had all the power. And I had a backpack and the truth. But my mother taught me that truth is the most powerful thing we have, if we're brave enough to speak it. This award is for every person who has been judged unfairly. Every person told they don't matter. This is proof that you do matter. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. My mother told me, let them underestimate you. That's when you're most powerful. So to everyone who feels powerless, you're not. You're more powerful than you know. You just have to be brave enough to prove it. The crowd erupted in applause, standing, cheering. Nia is now in her second year at Howard Law, maintaining a 3.9 GPA while running the Mitchell Center remotely. She's been offered federal clerkships after graduation. Marcus Jr. works at a community center as a youth coordinator, also attending community college studying social work. He's becoming someone who helps people instead of hurting them. Former Chief Thornton will spend the rest of his life in prison. 63 of the cases he corrupted have been overturned. The city paid out $47 million in settlements. And Nia? She continues her mother's work, helping the forgotten, fighting the corrupt, proving every day that power doesn't come from privilege. It comes from courage, truth, and an unbreakable commitment to justice. Her mother would be proud.